We're all sick, tired, and wasted. We're all sick, tired, and wasted. You're not the only one.
Welcome to Redacted Tonight VIP. I'm Lee Camp. Today, I out the incredibly hypocritical mainstream media for their holier-than-thou stand against racism and white supremacy. So, as you know, the horrible moments in Charlottesville last weekend, as well as other white supremacy marches and protests, have allowed our media and our politicians an opportunity to really get some good grandstanding in there. Really just grandstand away about how they're against racism. Here's an example from ABC's This Week, hosted by Martha Raddatz.
The very same day, President Trump was defiantly defending his Charlottesville response by saying there were very fine people on both sides, even among those white supremacists and neo-Nazis. I was flying in the back seat of an F-16 near the North Korean border, where thousands of American service members stand ready to give their lives to defend the U.S. and its allies.
Okay, first of all, she's acting like white supremacy and glorifying our white supremacist wars are completely different things. As if she flying around in that jet being like, look at me, look how cool war is it also a form of white supremacy? Furthermore, protecting our allies, there is basically no estimate of a military strike on North Korea that doesn't involve the immediate death of hundreds of thousands of South Koreans, or perhaps millions. So really, we're just putting them in harm's way. Plus, most South Koreans do not want a military strike on North Korea, and their president, Moon, said they will not allow it. But thanks to our catastrophic mainstream media like you, Martha Raddatz, and your jingoistic salivation for war, you've gotten us to the precipice of conflict once again. Is Trump a maniac? Yes! But has our imperial military policy over the past 30 years also been maniacal? Yes! We're like a Tasmanian devil with napalm strapped to its ass. But that's fine. Talk about how the real problem is the idiot words that came out of our idiot president's idiot face.
In a rare foray into domestic issues, the heads of the Air Force, Army, Marine Corps, Navy, and National Guard all released definitive statements condemning the racism, extremism, and hatred on display in Charlottesville.
That was funny. That was fun. Seriously, what exactly is it when we have 1,000 military bases around the world, if not white supremacy? What exactly is it when we dropped 26,000 drone bombs last year alone, if not a form of hatred? What exactly is it when we allow the starvation and destruction of the Yemeni people by our friend Saudi Arabia while using they're using our weapons, if not racism? What exactly is it when we heavily support Israel's decimation of the Palestinian people, half of whom are below the age of 24? Is that not hatred and oppression against children, no less? Don't get me wrong, I am eternally grateful that our war machine took the time and the care and just they summoned all of their basic human decency, and they used it to put out a tweet.
The chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Joseph Dunford, echoed his service chiefs, saying there is no place for racism and bigotry in the U.S. military or in the United States as a whole.
There's no place for racism and bigotry in the U.S. military. What's that? Dropping the mother of all bombs on Afghanistan? Well, what color are the people down there? Oh, yeah, go for it. Go. Yeah, you don't even have to ask next time. Yeah, no problem. Woo, I'm starving. What's for lunch over here? Hey, by the way, you know, we should print out my anti-racism tweet. Did you see that tweet I did? We should print that out and we'll strap it to the front of the bombs. Because I don't know that the Arabs down there, I don't know that they read my tweet. They need to know I'm against white supremacy. And so if we strap it to the bomb, we can show it to them as it's coming down. I think that'll work.
The U.S. military makes that clear every day. Strict regulations guarantee that any support for supremacist groups means you can be thrown out of the military.
I couldn't find, I couldn't find any articles saying there are neo-Nazis, gang members, or criminals being recruited for the military. So how about a book instead? Irregular Army, how the U.S. military recruited neo-Nazis, gang members, and criminals to fight the war on terror. There is no room for racism in the U.S. military except for all the racists we recruit for the U.S. military. Also, I was kidding. There are plenty of articles. You just Google, you'll find it. It takes like a second. This, of course, doesn't mean that all service members are racist or Nazis or anything of the sort. I think a lot of them are wonderful men and women who have been misled by their communities and by bullshit media like this into believing our wars and bombing and killing is just and right. It's right and just and perfect, and we are the saviors of the world. That's what I think a lot of them believe. And also some of them are Nazis. There are some.
All the institutions in our country, our volunteer military is the most diverse, the most representative, and provides the most opportunities for all Americans.
Whoa. Slow down there, Hopalong. Let's start with the phrase volunteer army. In fact, many in the Army are there because they feel it's the only way out of poverty and to take care of their family or to get an education or health care. So they don't do it out of volunteerism. They did it because of economic force. That's the opposite of free choice. Next, Raddatz says the military is the most diverse of our institutions. That is true, because our largely white ruling elite is more than happy to have a diverse group of cannon fodder. Really, you want that cannon fodder to be all colors. On top of that, the reason the more minorities, more people of color are willing to sign up is again because of economic force. They're trying to dig themselves out of poverty and get health care and an education. And if you're willing to kill or be killed for an education, that means college is too fucking expensive. That means health care is too fucking expensive. If it's the only way you see to get ahead, that means our system is racist. Plus, military recruiters actively go to poorer areas and poorer schools to try to talk poorer people into joining up. So really, what Martha Raddatz is celebrating right there is that our society is so racist, more people of color are poor and are willing to join the military because they're either desperate or blocked out of other institutions. So in this anti-racist report, this thing they put together, say, we are against white supremacy. We got to fight these racists. In this anti-racist report from ABC News, Raddatz is unknowingly celebrating racism. Go ahead, show some more.
So when those service members from all backgrounds return home and take off the uniform, there should be no confusion over whether every one of them is respected and valued.
Our system doesn't respect and value veterans at all. Our capitalist profit over people culture chews them up and spits them out. Cannon fodder to protect the oil interests of our rulers. We have roughly 39,000 homeless veterans, and a third of them don't even have access to emergency shelters. And it would cost us practically nothing out of our military budget to house all of them. Plus, only 22% of veterans feel the federal government treats them well, and only 18% feel they have gotten the benefits they were promised. 18% feel they're actually being taken care of when they get home. What's wrong, Miss Raddatz? Didn't have time to look up the numbers? Didn't have time to find out whether what you're saying is actually loads of bullshit? What respect and value are you referring to? Are you talking about the pleasantries of saying, thank you for your service? Is that it?
I'm not talking about the pleasantries of thank you for your service.
I guess not. Then you have me downright befuddled. What the fuck are you talking about? You say that there should be no hatred towards our troops, our veterans, that they should be valued. Yet hate and devaluation comes in a lot of different forms, doesn't it? It's not just yelling racial epithets at someone. When a veteran waits for weeks and months to be treated at a veterans hospital because it's not well funded or staffed, they are receiving the hatred of our society. When we don't make sure they get housing or support when they return home, they are being devalued. When they are sent into harm's way for unknown reasons to protect our oil interests or our poppy field interests, then that is devaluation. Furthermore, hatred and devaluation is hosting a news show that glorifies war and intervention and actively pushes for more death and destruction, and then cynically acts like standing for or respecting our troops, acting like they stand up for that in any way. Pushing war, jingoistic media insanity, celebrating our bombing, celebrating the death of civilians, the perpetuation of endless battle. That is the true undervaluing of our service members. At the end of the day, Ms. Raditz, you're everything you claim to abhor. Shifting gears here at the end, I want to close out tonight with a quick thank you. A thank you to Dick Gregory. He passed away last weekend at the age of 84. And for those who haven't heard much about him, I highly recommend that you read his books, check out his work. I was lucky enough to share the stage with him a few years ago. He was an amazing comedian, but he was much more than that. He gained stardom initially for telling jokes, but then he used that fame to push for civil rights, racial equality, gender equality, and much more. He once ran for president, and he never stopped pushing the buttons of the powers that be. He was arrested many times. He went on many hunger strikes. He marched thousands of miles for various causes and was even shot during a protest. He put his body on the line to make our world a better place. So thank you, Dick Gregory. You lived a full and important life.